Volume. I guess it's up, huh? Volume on your...
Anna, welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. You can already hear the man in the background here, Papa Joe, getting ready this morning inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. Happy to be here with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. I wish everybody had an MT. That's what I always wish, that everyone had an MT, someone who's always there to make sure things are right and keep us all well. And we are always hoping the best and praying the best for MT, because those people out there that help us, that are there for us, that are selfless and always giving, we got to give back to them, be helpful to them, and give them their spotlight because they deserve it. So I know Papa Joe is the one you see on Thursdays, but MT is the one that is right there with him, and we love her dearly. So with that being said, inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, 7916 Brewerton Road, or pardon me, telling you Chick-fil-A Cicero right now because I was there yesterday. So 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Get out to Great Lakes Honda City. Please let them know the DT sent you, and you can find new and used vehicles, including the Ridgeline, the Civic, the Accord, the Passport, the Pilot, as well as my favorite, the CRV. Over at Great Lakes Honda City, that and more. You could get a sneak peek at everything they have to offer you by going to greatlakeshondacity.com. Inside MonPawsPopcorn.com is what's poppin'. Today's guest, Papa Joe, in Hour 1, speaking on the US Open as well as Major League Baseball. And in Hour number 2 at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time, Dave Paziak is back, and we are talking about Game 6. And coming off of Game 5, the Pacers are down to the Thunder 3-2. The Pacers have a chance with their last home game to even this series and force a Game 7 back in Oklahoma City. That game will tip off tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You are with us up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. The man of the hour is picture in picture with me. They call him PJ, the Go-So, the grand old smooth one. I also call him the leader of the Jameis Winston fan club. Papa Joe is here with us. PJ, how are we doing?
Oh, my gosh. You didn't have to say that, Daniel. That's okay. Yeah.
How are you
just taking care of MT. She needs to be taking care of her for a while now.
So PJ here with us this morning, taking care of MT, and we appreciate that. Papa Joe, I want to jump right into it because we have an hour as opposed to our typical 2 together. So baseball we'll get into in just a second, but I do want to hit the US Open here. In the US Open, JJ Spaun wins his first ever major. It was only his second time in the US Open, and the interesting thing here is he has never finished in the top 20 in any major event. So he goes from never being in the top 20 to winning the 2025 US Open. He does it with a putt that was 64 feet 5 inches. He needed to make it in 2. And I love the commentator saying, how about 1? He gets it, right. He wins it, and on Father's Day, he gets to celebrate with his 2 daughters, Emerson and Violet, and, of course, his wife, Melody. I'd love to get your thoughts.
It was sensational. I had it on from 1 o'clock in the afternoon until the very end. It was ugly, folks. I mean, if you play golf, you know it's difficult to give a little game to play, period. But when you're in the league these guys are in, and when you play a course that's almost unplayable, it's not fun to watch. There were several guys, even including Scotty Scheffler. If he'd have put some numbers together, he could have been right there. 20 guys with about 5 or 6 holes to play that are right there still, if JJ Spaun was going to back up. But JJ Spaun is not a journeyman. I guess he's kind of a journeyman player. He's won a couple times on the tour. This, of course, is his biggest one. But what JJ did was what you're supposed to do in major championships with hard courses is you hit the fairway, you hit the green, you make some putts. That's what it is. If you can hit the fairway, get in the short grass, they call it, instead of that long stuff, you have a better chance of making a birdie or a par. What I took issue with is that these courses, we already know they're hard. You don't have to make them any harder than they are. I think that they grew the rough too long. I mean, it's okay to get in the rough if you got a shot out of it. But when you don't have a shot out of it, you got to wedge it in the fairway and then hope that you can knock it out of the green and get a one putt for a par. Some of the grasses I thought were extraordinary. Just what wasn't golf. You want to see these guys struggle a little bit, but you want to see them struggle on the green or chipping and out of sand traps, stuff like that. You want to see them struggle when they're 100 yards out and they're in a deep rough and they can't get to the green. Of course, you say, Papa J, well, they're supposed to hit the ball in the fairway. Normally, at U.S. Open courses, the fairways are considerably narrower than regular courses. As a matter of fact, this week's one is in Connecticut, and it's a wide open golf course. And I'm sure the winning score is probably going to be 20 under par or less. You'll see a completely different game. These guys have radar. When you get the ball in the fairway and you hit the ball straight, knock the ball on the green, you got a 50-50 shot of making a birdie. So there was a player about 20 years ago. I forgot his name. He was a Mexican player, really. Omar Ureses, that's his name. He recorded 9 birdies in a row. Now, it's hard. It's impossible to do that, for one thing. He's the only one I've ever heard do that.
Yeah.
And you got guys like Scottie Scheffler who wins every other tournament, but he doesn't get 9 birdies in a row. What Scheffler does is what Spaun did. Is he hits the ball in the fairway, hits the ball on the green, and 2 putts or 1 putts. So it was a tough tournament to watch. What I didn't want to see, though, I didn't want to see the 2 guys that were in the last group. One shoots 78, the other guy shoots 79. I mean, that's not right. That's not right. That's not good. But Spaun did what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Hit fairways and greens and putts. So congratulations to JJ. His whole world now changes. Besides, he gets $4.3 million richer.
Yeah, it's amazing how you could go from never winning a major to winning one and having life-changing money that, if you use it right, will last far beyond your lifetime. Just one weekend to change his entire life. And
it's it brings everything into him. He's got more advertising revenue coming in. Yeah. I'm sure he's gonna be, maybe he'll change clothing people, maybe he'll change ball people, maybe he'll get a new set of gloves or something like that. But most of the time, it's advertising revenue that comes in, and these guys, I tell you, JJ earned it, because when I watched the first part of the show, and he bogeys 1, he bogeys 2, pars 3, bogeys 4, bogeys 5, bogeys 6. After 6 holes, he's got 5 bogeys. Now, typically, when you're in a major championship and you got 5 bogeys out of the first 6 holes, he ain't going nowhere. Well, again, his caddy is level-headed. He says, listen, we've been here before. You know what you do. Just keep your head down, grind away. We'll get it done. And damn if he didn't. I mean, he played solid golf in the middle of the round, made some birdies, and of course, I think he was shocked when he was on 17. He wound up. He saw it. He was ahead. He got 10 guys ahead of him after 5 bogeys in 6 holes. But it goes to show you that the golf gods are really cruel. And for most of those guys who were playing in the last groups, the golf course was really, really cruel. So kudos to JJ. He's a class guy. I think he's 34, 35 years old. Yeah. You're right. His world has just opened up to him and a lot more money.
Well, and to hit one more point here on this, PJ, what are your thoughts on the sport of golf, knowing that you can play one weekend and, like I said, have an amount of money, like a DuckTales Scrooge McDuck just dropping gold coins on your lap, to have money that will change your entire life. One weekend, like you play golf for however many years growing up. Let's say they played golf for 15 years, 18 years, and they get to a tournament like this, they get to an opportunity like this, and one weekend gives them more money than most people will ever see in a lifetime, maybe even 2 lifetimes. What are your thoughts on that? The fact that these purses are so massive that 3 or 4 days can change an entire life.
Certainly, it's filthy money, as I call it. Just what the LIV tour is. Now, this tournament, even though it was well paid, LIV money is considerably more than what our tour wants to pay. They play for $25 million every other week over there, with the winner getting $4 million for regular courses, not a hard course like Oakmont was. Yeah. There was I had a story about a good golf course story. When I left Florida to take one of my jobs in New York the first time, where Joey was born in Canandaigua, I've always heard about Oak Hill Golf Course in Rochester, New York. Yeah, was US Open type of course. It had the PG there a few times, open there a few times, been open for years. It's one of these old time courses where you hit fairways and greens. They're not wide open like the British Open courses are. So anyway, I'm feeling good about myself. I always had a good golf game. So one of my buddies I went to work with up there, he says, "Hey, I can get us on Oak Hill." I says, "Hell, Oak Hill? You mean the Oak Hill?" And he says, "Yeah, Oak Hill in Rochester." I says, "Okay, let's go." So we go up there, and I'm looking at the dimensions of and I says, "Hey, Kurt," I says, "I can't play this course in the back tees, in the tips as they call them." He said, "Okay, we'll move up. Okay, we play the forward tees, as they say, yeah, which is with the white tees is what normal people play." Yeah. So I'm scooting along, and I'm getting killed. It's a bloodbath, Daniel. It was terrible. After 18 holes, I had shot 92, and Curtis shot 87. And I says, "Hey, pal, we can't come back here again. I mean, this is the bloodbath. It wasn't a lot of fun. I got one birdie, and what you do is you scramble all the time. I didn't hit the ball that far. I had it far enough to where I could compete. But when you're hitting fairway woods in the par fours, that's not the way the game is played. But I enjoyed it, and I understand what Oakmont is about. It's just the same way as Oak Hill was. So, folks, if you want to play a U.S. Open golf course, be sure you play from the white tees.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, it's a unique experience, and it's an awesome experience. I do want to give a shout out here to somebody on YouTube this morning, Sticksboy73, and Sticksboy, make sure you subscribe if you haven't yet. But he said, "Good morning, Dan and Papa Joe," and then he said, "It's a windfall of cash for just one win for sure." Yeah, it's crazy how much money comes into this. But if you've ever had the opportunity to play on a professional course, I think golfers always want to do that, right? They want to be where the pro golfers were. They want to walk the steps of Tiger Woods and now JJ Spaun and Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer and so on and so forth. You want to walk these steps. So you're like, yeah, I want to play this course. And then you get on the course, and I feel like for me personally, I'd be on like the first hole, and I look down and I go, "Where's the ball? Like we're in Pennsylvania right now. Is the ball in Egypt? Like, or where is the tee? Or where's the flag? I should say. Is it in Egypt? Because sometimes I've done that with courses in Syracuse. I'm sitting there with my dad, and I'm here about to tee off, and I'm looking down, and I'm like, my dad used to say this to me all the time. I said, "Dad, where the hell's the hole?" He goes, "Just hit it straight." And so like, there's that. You want to be on those courses, but Lord knows those courses, if they're difficult for the pros, then they're definitely difficult for those of us that are just playing to go out there and have some fun. But go out there and enjoy some golf. It is definitely a place to build some memories, and I'm happy I've started to do more of that. PJ, speaking of building memories, we're going to jump into baseball. Shohei Ohtani is back on the mound. Dude is, again, as I've said it before, and I'll say it again, Shohei Ohtani is an alien. He is from another planet. He has come in peace. He doesn't seek to hurt you, but he does seek to defeat you. And it's one of those good things that if this is how aliens are, they won't kill you, but they will still defeat you. And Shohei Ohtani is all about doing it with a smile on his face or being very expressionless, finding a way to defeat you. The man went through rehab after surgery and just put up over 50 home runs and had at least 50 saves, became a part of the 50-50 club at a time where a lot of people would be sitting home, getting better, healing their body. Shohei Ohtani is not human. And now he's back on the mound. So I'd love for you to give your thoughts, PJ, as I have watched a little bit, kind of skimming through this week of the Padres-Dodgers series. So would love to hear your thoughts on Shohei being back.
Oh, boy. Well, I've been watching a lot of baseball, Daniel, for sure. And I looked at the venue, and I knew that he was pitching. And I said, the game's not going to start till 10 after 10. And, you know, me, I'm in bed by 8:30, 9 o'clock reading a book.
Yeah.
So Mary T is fussing at me, and she said, you got to stay up and watch this. So I'm watching the Yankees and Angels. By the way, the Angels swept the Yankees in a 3-game series. So 2 shutouts. Yankees can't hit. They can't do anything right. But anyway, let's get back to Ohtani. So I said, I'm dozing off. I'm dozing off. I'm waking up. So I'm getting fired up because the game is over. They show Dodger Stadium, and there's Ohtani on the mound. So I watched the warm up, and he looked good. His form has always been good. His follow through is perfect. He's a big man, 6'5". He stretches way out. So the first inning comes, and I'm watching him throw Ks. He's watching. A couple of times he hit 100 miles an hour, but to San Diego's credit, they scraped a couple of hits and 1 run off him. He wound up throwing 24 pitches, didn't strike out anyone. So for a mortal pitcher, that's not a bad beginning. For him, it's probably not a good beginning. But there's a silver lining to it. The guy was out there throwing darts. And if he's going to be as good as he has been pitching, the league is in for a hell of a trial. Because this kid can throw it. He looked calm throwing all his pitches. He's got 6 pitches he throws for strikes. They just scraped a couple of cheap runs off him. That's all. So, but he didn't. He looked comfortable up there, Daniel. And I knew that he was only going to pitch 1 inning. The only reason if he wasn't, I would say he'd probably skirt through the first inning of maybe 10, 11 pitches and maybe strike out 1 guy or 2 guys, something like that. And maybe he'd go into the second one. No, wasn't going to happen. Yeah. He threw 24 pitchers, and that was it. But it was great to see him back on the mound, and everyone can just take a glimmer at what this kid is going to be about.
Yeah, and I do want to make a note here about Shohei Ohtani and that 1 inning that he pitched here this past Monday. And so allowed an early run, as PJ was kind of giving a background here in his pitching debut for the Dodgers. And remember, folks, this is his pitching debut, not of the season, but as a Dodger. He had never pitched as a Dodger because he came to the Dodgers from the Angels, having had his surgery and rehabbing. So Shohei Ohtani's debut, he allows an early run, and he averaged 96.8 miles per hour on 9 fastballs, threw 28 pitches in the first inning, 21 months after right elbow surgery. First outing since August of 2023 on the mound with the Angels. Want to make a note here for you as well that Ohtani's RBI double, because keep in mind, he's still hitting the ball too. The two-way player had an RBI double with 2 outs in the third, which tied the score at 1. He added another 2-out hit, a run-scoring single during the Dodgers' 5-run fourth when they took a 6-2 lead, and he struck out twice and walked. So keep in mind, RBI double with 2 outs. So 2 outs, he gets a run. Another 2-out hit, gets a run. And what does he help the team to do? Win 6-3. So he's on the mound for an inning, and then he's out there hitting, helping the team get a victory. So the two-way player is back. We know what he could do on the mound. We know what he could do at bat. We've seen him with the Dodgers at bat throughout that last season, his first season with the Dodgers, a season where they won the World Series. And now we're looking at Shohei Ohtani in this game saying, well, he gave up an early run. And then what did he do? Turned around and brought in runs as a hitter to make up for the run that he gave up. How many pitchers can ever say they've done that? And a key thing for you to know, Shohei Ohtani becomes only the 3rd National League player in the history of Major League Baseball since 1900 to start a game as a pitcher and serve as the team's leadoff hitter. He joins Jim Jones of 1901 and Alvin Dark of 1953, that coming from Major League Baseball Network. Thoughts on that?
Good. That's good stuff. I remember Alvin Dark. I remember him playing well. Shohei Ohtani is probably going to may have his next. Typically, Daniel, when pitchers throw one game, say they throw 6 or 7 innings, they usually come back after 5 days rest. Some of them, the real strong ones, come back 4 days rest. I would anticipate that Roberts will probably bring him back with 6 days rest instead of 5 or 4. He doesn't want him to overtax himself, because the Dodgers have problems with arms right now because 3 of their top guys are in trouble. They got some injuries of their own.
Yeah.
So Ohtani, and again, if he does get into a game and he's throwing well, even if he's got a shutout going 5 or 6 innings, you won't see him last any more than 6 innings, probably even 5. So Dave Roberts will be very, very, careful with him. Let's put a good term. Careful with him and just judge his pitching and count his strikes and count his balls. And, the kid can throw 6 different pitches for strikes. Yeah. That's the amazing part about it. And one of those pitches is what we noticed, that he throws 100 miles an hour fastball. I mean, he's just got it all. He's got such a big hand. If you ever get to see the chance of the ball in his hand before he rubs it up and throws his glove and tries to pitch, he's got enormous hands. Most pitchers do have big hands. So I wish him luck. I'll watch his next game, that's for sure.
Yeah, and we know that the Dodgers sticks boys, but he will definitely throw heat at your butt. I like that. So with that being said, PJ, I will unleash you for the heat that you will bring us through as you will blaze a trail through the standings. We are a little over 70 games in to the Major League Baseball 2025 season. PJ's got another notebook. How many notebooks have you used?
This is my 6th one.
All right. Well, notebook number 6. May it fare us well. What do you got for us, PJ?
Well, a lot of times I can do what you do, is just look at a screen and do it that way. But I feel comfortable doing this because it's an old man's way of doing things, Daniel.
I'm an
old man, you know that.
I like.
All right. Anyway, let's start with the American League East. The Yankees are 42-31. The Rays are 41-33. They're 1.5 behind. Now, the Yankees are pitiful. I can say that justifiably so. The last 3 or 4 games are awful. They can't score any runs. Anthony Volpe, their slick shortstop, made an error last night that caused them to lose the ball game. The Rays were 7-3 in their last 10 games, and the Yankees are 3-7. Now, the Rays have no business being second in this division. None. Baltimore should be playing a lot better. Toronto and the Red Sox are good ball clubs. Toronto probably will wind up second in this division, but that's why they play the game, as a boomer says. The Rays are 1.5 behind. Toronto's 2 behind. The Red Sox are 4.5 behind, and Baltimore's out of it 11. But still, I still like Baltimore. I still like them, and I still like them in this division, maybe to get a wild card. So, Central Division, we got Detroit at 47-21, the best team by far playing baseball. Cleveland 37-35, they're 9 out. Minnesota 10.5 out. KC 11 out. And Chicago White Sox are 23.5 out. Look for Kansas City to make a long bid to get a wild card in this one. I like Cleveland, but I like KC a lot better, like I did last year, and they came through for me. And they're still a hell of a ball club. They got good pitching and good hitting, so they're just timing is right. All in baseball, timing is right. In the West, we got Houston at 43-31. Seattle is second, 5.5 out. Texas 7 out. LA is 6.5 out. Athletics are 14 out. Houston was 7-3 in their last 10 games. They got a little leeway between Houston and Seattle. So Houston will put the pedal to the metal. Like the last couple of years, I predicted they would come through the division to win. They don't have excuses now. They're not. They got the good team. Even though they lost Alec Bregman, they still got the hitting and pitching to do that. Average-wise, we got Judge hitting 366 and Jacob Wilson at 359 from Athletics. Now, Jacob Wilson is an extraordinary young player. How he wound up with Athletics, I don't know, but look for the kid like Jacob Wilson. But, the Athletics they're like the White Sox. They're not interested in winning. That's my opinion. Home runs, Cal Raleigh has 27 from Seattle. Judge is 26. RBI, Judge and Raleigh are both tied at 60. 1 loss. Max Fried for the Yankees has 9 wins. His ERA is leading at 1.89. Very nasty pitcher. Saves. Carlos Esteban from Kansas City has 20. We'll go right over to the National League. National League East, the Mets, 45 and 29. The Phillies second, one game behind. Atlanta, Washington, far behind with 11 and 15. Miami's out of it too at 15 behind. This is going to be back and forth. We said this every week. Philly and New York back and forth, back and forth. New York was only 5 and 5 their last 10 games, and Philly was 7 and 3, so they crept up a few games. But this is going to be like a yo-yo, back and forth between these guys. The Central Division, there's no such thing as the yo-yo. The Cubs are running away with it, 45 and 28. Milwaukee's second, 6.5 out. Cincinnati's 6.5 out. St. Louis is 7 out. And Pittsburgh, with the best pitcher in baseball right now, is 16.5 out. Now, Pittsburgh is in a very tenuous position because they're not a very good team. They got a future Hall of Famer playing for them this last year, Andrew McCutchen, and they got the best pitcher, Paul Skeens.
Yeah.
Now, you're saying, well, Papa Joe, maybe they can trade and do something to get up there. Well, they're not going to do that because they're not going to win anything. I don't think that they'll ever trade Skeens. McCutchen are going to let him ride out into the sunset. This is last year. So it's a terrible situation to be in. But I look for Skeens to pitch, and I watch the baseball game. That's what he does to me. In West, LA is 46 and 29. San Francisco is 41 and 33 to 4.5 out. San Diego 6 out. Arizona, Daniel, 9 out. They're playing below 500 now. They're not doing too well. Colorado is absolutely miserable at 28 and a half games out. I think they're 13 and 57. How can that be? I mean, that is absolutely terrible. But LA's been 8 and 2 in their last 10 games. They've got some leeway here between San Francisco and San Diego. Yeah. Now, LA has beat San Diego the last couple of nights, so it's pitching and defense on these guys. All three of these teams, you can look for them to be in the playoffs. Arizona's got a long, long road to go, and I think they have some trading. They have the trades they want to make too. Average-wise, we got Will Smith at the Dodgers hitting 333. He's a catcher on his legs the whole time, and he still hits 333. Freddie Freeman's 332 from the Dodgers. Home runs, Ohtani's got 25, leading RBI. Pete Alonso is keeping the Mets in scoring, 25 or 63 RBIs. One loss, Brandon Fedett from Arizona's got 8. ERA, Paul Skeens, there he is again, 1.78 ERA. And Robert Suarez from San Diego's got 21. Now, there's some other stats I want to give you that it really puts things into focus.
Yeah.
Team hitting. Houston is leading the league with a 259 average. Now, Houston is leading their division. That's why they're leading the division, because they hit so well. Team pitching, Texas, 3.19 ERA. Texas is in second and third. They go vastly between Seattle and Texas in it. So they're there. Now, fielding. This is why baseball is so incredible to me. Boston Red Sox have always been a good team. They're a storied franchise. They always have good players. They are leading the league with 64 errors. Well, what do? Yeah. They trade away their best player, who I can't stand, but I'll get into that later. Now, in the National League, team hitting, LA is hitting 265, which figures with Smith and Freeman and Ohtani and everyone. They're difficult to get out, period. Team pitching, the Mets, 3.00. That's been their stronghold for 2 years now. Now, you say, who leads the league in errors for the National League? You're thinking, well, who are the lousiest teams? Well, lousiest teams is Colorado. They got 63 errors. But I can't compare Colorado to the Red Sox. The Red Sox are the Red Sox have given away. They've traded away or failed to sign X-Man, Xander Bogaerts, Mookie Betts, and now they give away Devers. So where are they going? They got to be going someplace, because it's 64 errors. They got to do something. So I don't know what the Red Sox plan is. All I know is they made a bad trade to get rid of Devers. Because, Daniel, when you're making deals like this, you can't have egos get in your way. This isn't a personality contest. It's on paper. Who's the best on paper? Do we need this guy on paper? Can he hit? Can he run? Can he field? Is he a problem? Sure, he's a problem. But you don't get rid of him because he's a problem. So they get 4 players from San Francisco. Yeah. None of them are what we call real good. I'm sure a couple of them will probably be ball players. But they give away Devers, and now they're sitting in the going to be in the last place probably if Baltimore can make a run at them. So the Devers thing was a mess, Daniel.
Well, I will tell you this because we spoke about it on Monday here on Wake Up Call inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios with Brendan Murphy. And Brendan and I spoke about the move and our thoughts on the move. Honestly, PJ, it could end up biting them in the butt, but being in the locker room with Jacksonville and seeing Jalen Ramsey, I can say to you that if Rafael Devers' issue from the outside looking in really was what it looked like, really was a guy who lost his position, went to another position, was asked to move again, asked to be a team player, decided not to be, went to designated hitter. When I look at the deal, if that was really the case, that he's not a team player and he's all about himself after they just signed him to this 11-year, multi-million-dollar deal, and they're very early into that deal, I look at the trade that the Red Sox made with the Giants as the Red Sox saying, get him off our team. They don't take any of the money. The Giants take the money, and they get a bunch of prospects. They get a bunch of pitchers. Now, did it come at a weird time? Yeah. It came at a time where the Red Sox had won the majority of their last 10 games. It had come at a time where they were the only team in the country to sweep the Yankees this season in any series. It comes at a time where it looked like they were making a run. But when I see a team unload an entire contract, not have to assume any of the money, and they do it at a time where you're playing well, they do it at a time where the guy is in the top 5 in the nation in RBIs, it says to me that they're telling the Giants, yeah, he's talented, but he's a headache. And we don't want the headache anymore. So you take the headache, we'll take the prospects, maybe we'll make some other moves, and we'll have to figure it out. Keep in mind, they have Alex Bregman. They do have a guy that's come onto this team that took that position from Rafael Devers, and now with Devers being with the Giants, they already have a third baseman. So he's probably going to stay DH. And he's probably not going to play the field, and maybe that's what he wants. Maybe he wants to make all these millions of dollars and not have to run around on the field. But the timing of this trade, to me, having watched sports and covered it for many years and been in locker rooms and clubhouses, it seems, and I'm not saying anybody on the Red Sox told me this, I'm just saying what I'm looking at, it seems like he was such a problem that they just wanted to get rid of him. And the fact that they got rid of him and did not have to spend any of this money is good for them. It's good for them that they're not paying part of this and then the Giants are paying the other part. I honestly think, PJ, what we saw, and keep in mind, he is not top 5 in the country in batting average. He is not top 5 in the country in stolen bases. He is not top 5 in the country in home runs. The only place where he is within the top 5 in the nation is RBIs. But in every other category offensively, he's not there. So, yeah, he can hit, but is he truly worth having the issue in the clubhouse? And what it seems like, again, from the outside looking in, is that the Red Sox said, yeah, he's talented. Yes, he's good. Yes, we're winning, but we just can't deal with him anymore.
I will comment on that. I think you're halfway right, and I'm probably going to be halfway right too. I think the players liked him. I think he was good to be around for them, especially some of the Spanish-speaking kids. But again, the Boston did this based on personalities and egos, not his ego, the egos of their management team. They'd say, okay, we can't deal with him anymore. Our manager, Joey Corey, can't do it anymore. I find that hard to believe. Now, getting rid of him and the contract was a good move, extraordinary move. And maybe some of these kids that they got from the trade is going to be good. But Devers, and how did he come out yesterday? He says he'll play any position that the Phillies want him to play. Well, if he was going to do that, why wasn't he going to do that for Boston? It's based on egos and personalities. Boston played this whole thing wrong, but they did make a good move because financially they're out from under them. So let someone else worry about it. But the Giants have a Gold Glove third baseman, Max Chapman, been around for years, longer than Devers has been playing. So where's Devers going to play? Is he going to DH? Maybe. They want to throw him at first base. Well, if he's going to play first base for the Giants, why can't he play first base for Boston? So it's a difficult situation, Daniel. But it's egos and personalities. You got to keep them away. You got to make a deal based on facts, like you just stated. Are they a good team? They're a fair team this year.
Yeah.
But their history indicates to me that they don't want to keep their good players and pay them any more than what they should go. Bogarts was an extraordinary player, and Mookie Betts is a MVP player just about every year. So where is Red Sox going with this type of business strategy? I don't get it. Now they throw Devers on top of the two guys they just mentioned, so it's a fire sale.
Well, and the thing is when you look at the Red Sox and you mention the Mookie Betts move and something like that, it does show that they've made some dumb decisions. And again, the timing of this just seems weird. They were winning. They swept the Yankees at home in Boston, which no matter what season you're having in Boston, you sweep the Yankees, especially when you're home, your fans are going to be loving you, and that's going to have some residual effects positively. So to move them when they moved them, and like you said, you got to keep things out of it, right? You do have to keep the I don't like you, you don't like me. I mean, yeah, you got to keep that out. I mean, there is being a problem in the clubhouse, and I thought Jalen Ramsey was a problem in the clubhouse, but when I spoke to the general manager at the time, he was not happy that they moved Jalen Ramsey. And it just kind of seemed like it was a situation where it was like maybe he felt forced to. And the thing is, if Devers goes to the Giants and plays any position, and he's a team player and he's laughing laughing there in the dugout and having a good time, then now all of a sudden you turn around and you say, okay, was it him or was it Boston? And I tell people this all the time. You're going to figure out if it's the team or the player. When Antonio Brown was the number one receiver in the country in the NFL and the Steelers moved him, I said you're going to find out if it was him or the team. Then when they turned around and they moved their number one running back, I said the same thing. You're going to find out with Le'Veon Bell if it's him or the team. It ended up being those guys and not the Steelers. But we'll see what happens in this scenario. The thing that is glaring for the Red Sox, PJ, is 90% of their offense went through Devers. He led the team. He still, to this, even though he's not on the team anymore, statistically in 2025, he leads the team. So think about this. Being no longer being a member of a team and still having the best statistics on that team. Devers still has the best batting average for the Red Sox this year at 272. He has the most home runs for the team with 15. He has the most RBIs with 58. He has the highest on-base percentage with 401. The only place that he did not lead the Red Sox, Jarren Duran, who leads the team with hits with 82. So it does say something about, and I'm sure, it's going to take time and somebody has to step up, but it says something about a team that is going toward the midpoint of the season and is willing to trade away the guy that leads you in almost every single offensive category on your team.
Well, true. And when he was meeting with the Giants and when he was meeting with the press, this upset me more than anything. Here's the guy that's been in here. He's in his late 20s. He's been probably playing ball for 15 years. They probably signed him when he was 15 years old. He had to speak through a translator. Are you kidding me? Why don't these kids learn English while they're 15 and 16 years old? Why do you come over here and still speak with an interpreter? Why doesn't Otani speak English? Because they don't want to. That's what they are. Devers didn't want to. He didn't want to play. He didn't want to play for Red Sox.
Wednesday, June 18th, in the largest comeback in Major League Baseball this season. They matched their biggest comeback in franchise history. They also rallied from 8 down in a 10-8 victory over the Los Angeles Angels on August 18th of 2012, and in a 10-9 win over the Toronto Blue Jays on July 25th, 2009. It tied the Orioles' largest blown lead over the past 50 seasons. Baltimore last gave away an 8-run lead on April 28th, 2017 against the Yankees. The Orioles led that game 9-1 entering the bottom of the 6th before losing 14-11 in 10 innings. Baltimore had an 8-run second inning on Wednesday. Colton Cowser had a 3-run home run. Cedric Mullins had a solo shot. Gunnar Henderson had an RBI single. And Ramon Laureano had a 3-run home run in that inning. Tampa Bay's Christopher Morel hit an RBI double in the third, and Jake Mangum's 2-run single cut it to 8-3. Curtis Mead, who I have his rookie patch, courtesy of my deal with my big brother Joey. Curtis Mead hit actually I have his autograph too, had a 2-out triple in the fourth and scored on a Junior Caminero single. Brandon Lowe's 2-run home run in the fifth made it 8-8, and Jonathan Aranda had a 2-run single in the Rays' 4-run seventh inning. The Tampa Bay Rays, PJ, and I want to also shout this out. My buddy Jason, who's another brother to me, Jason Lucas, who's been on the show as a sports and entertainment vet, the 2 games that he's gone to, I believe are the 2 best games that we've seen in Rays history in a long time. He went to the walk-off home run game, and I believe that the comeback game that just happened, I believe that was the game he was at because I know he was there this week. So he has seen some of the best games. So maybe the best thing for the Tampa Bay Rays is to hire Jason Lucas and make sure that he's in the building at all times when they're playing these home games. So shout out to Tampa Bay, PJ, overcoming an 8-run deficit. And once again, they are making a push to be a team that is right behind the Yankees trying to make the playoffs. Your thoughts on Tampa Bay?
Tampa Bay, they've done this for 5 years now. Actually, they've done it when Joe Madden was the manager then. They keep playing small ball in this division, which is extremely difficult. And they keep doing it. They keep doing it. They keep winning. They keep beating the top teams. And here they are in second place with a 41-33 record. I do have some information, though.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this will surprise anyone in baseball, but it should. There's a gentleman in Jacksonville who is a builder.
Yeah.
And they, from what I understand, from what I read, is that the Tampa Bay is willing to sell the team for $1.7 billion. Now, the problem with that is, what are they getting? Are they getting a team? They sure ain't getting a damn stadium, and they're sure not going to fix the stadium for them. So Andrew Friedman, who is the owner, is in a real pickle. I mean, sure, he can take the money and run, and he probably doesn't care about Tampa Bay anyway. So, what do you do in a situation like that? You probably take the money, but I'm not sure where this is going. So it's not conjecture. These are pretty good sources that they're revealing this. So it doesn't surprise us that someone is interested in Tampa.
Yeah, and to go off of that, that's something that I was going right into myself. The Tampa Bay Rays principal owner Stu Sternberg is in quote-unquote advanced talks to sell the Tampa Bay Rays to a Florida-based residential developer. Patrick Zalumski, a home builder in Jacksonville, has been identified as a potential lead buyer in a deal that values the team at what PJ said around $1.7 billion. He already had executed a letter of intent to purchase the team per Sportico, which first reported that these talks were going on. Sternberg bought the Rays in 2004 for $200 million. Now he's looking to sell them for $1.7 billion, so he'll make some money. The team acknowledged the discussion in a statement saying, quote, the Tampa Bay Rays announced that the team has recently commenced exclusive discussions with a group led by Patrick Zalumski, Bill Cosgrove, Ken Babby, and prominent Tampa Bay investors concerning a possible sale of the team. Neither the Rays nor the group will have further comment during the discussions, end quote. A year ago, Sternberg had a deal in place to build a new stadium, in the historic gas plant district, a reimagined recreational, retail, and residential district in St. Petersburg to replace Tropicana Field. However, Hurricane Milton comes in, destroys the roof of Tropicana Field, and all of a sudden, somehow, destroyed all future talks of a new stadium. In March, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred and some other owners began to privately push Sternberg to sell the franchise, according to The Athletic. Zalumski is the president and CEO of Dreamfinders Homes. And if you've been around Jacksonville Stadium like I have and covered the team or been there as a fan, you'll know that Dreamfinders Homes has a giant sign right as you're coming in to the Jaguars Stadium and right by where you enter in for the press. That was founded in December 2008. He's also a member of the Board of Trustees at the University of Florida. Go
Gators.
There it is. It's unclear what Zalumski's group, if it ultimately goes through with the purchase and is approved by MLB owners, what they would do for a permanent stadium, like PJ said. The team is currently playing at George M. Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, which is the New York Yankees spring training facility and home of the Single-A Tampa Tarpons. So, so to look at this and to look at everything, PJ, we don't have a stadium. We don't know if they're going to fix Tropicana Field. They're playing right now at a facility that has around 11,000 seats. What is your take on the Tampa Bay Rays? You're a guy who likes to invest. You're a smart money guy. So what are your thoughts on someone purchasing the Rays for $1.7 billion with no stadium and kind of in the situation that they're in? If you were at the table right now, would you buy the Rays, and what would your plan be?
Well, certainly, if you're Mr. Sternberg, you say I'll take the money, but it's a little different scenario now. I'm not sure what equity is involved with Tampa. Yeah. We certainly know they have a good team. You're buying contracts, you're buying the managers and all the whole staff and everything. I don't know that the builder, the Jack's builder, I don't know if he has nefarious ideas in mind. Although it did ring a bell to me, builder. I'm thinking that they may knock the damn thing down and build whatever he wants over there and forget about baseball in Tampa Bay. If I were Mr. Sternberg, I would certainly sell it. I don't know anything more about this builder than what we've read in the paper. I know, like you said, he has a big advertising deal in front of the Jack Stadium. I think Mr. Sternberg probably ought to call up his buddy Andrew Friedman, who used to be his general manager for years. Yeah. And there's the one who put this deal together to buy this thing for $200 million. Now, Sternberg is not going to get a stadium in Tampa St. Pete that he's not going to get the money for. It's not on the cards for him down there. Tampa St. Pete area does not want to spend the money for a stadium. And you can say, well, that's not a bad idea because they don't average about 13,000, 14,000 people a night in that cavernous O-Dome, which is awful to watch baseball. I watched them the other night a couple of times, and it's good to see the outdoor park, the Steinbrenner Field, and the stands are filled, and it was fun. When you watch Tampa Bay playing in the O-Dome, I mean, it's nothing. I mean, yeah. You could hear a fly ball foul. So I think Mr. Sternberg is probably going to sell the team, and he's not going to care what these guys do to money with it. He's not going to put a condition on it and say, well, if I sell it for $1.7 billion, you have to have the team stay in Tampa for, say, 20 years.
Yeah.
Now, the guy who's putting this deal together is probably going to say, yeah, I can't, Stuart, I can't do that deal. If I'm going to spend my money, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do with it. You don't tell me what you're going to do with it.
Yeah.
So it could be contentious at best, but I don't. If this guy buys the team, don't look for Tampa to be in there much longer.
No, honestly, I mean, I think, and that's the thing I'm concerned about. And keep in mind, for blessings in baseball, my co-host for that, Dukes Knutson, he is the longtime press box manager of the Tampa Bay Rays. He's the first person I thought of. If they go and they sell this team and they move him somewhere else, what's that going to do with Dukes? And he loves that. And he's a strong believer in God. He has ministry for the players. And he has met and built relationships with players all over Major League Baseball with providing ministry and providing chapel and opportunities to pray and have Bible studies. So he goes far beyond the dollars and cents of the game. I do not want to see the Rays leave Tampa. I am never a proponent of seeing a team leave a city. Unless that city is on fire, unless that city is a big problem, unless that city just has shown over and over again that it can't support it, I would like to not have a community lose it, because people don't understand whether the team wins or loses. When you have a professional team in your community, that is going to help you sell beers. It's going to help you sell clothes in the surrounding area. It's going to help your malls. It's going to help your gas stations. It's going to help your restaurants. So that's something I don't want to see happen in Tampa St. Pete. Whoever buys the Rays, I want there to be a plan in place of keeping them there. The fact that they don't have a stadium of the future and how the hell that fell through, the fact that they don't have that, so you don't have a stadium of the future and you don't have a fixing of Tropicana Field. So the question for me, PJ, is if you're going to sell the team at a time where the team is in flux, that makes me feel like they're going to move the team.
Well, I don't know where they would move it to.
They've talked about Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah. Sternberg does not want to use his own money to fix the O-Dome because it's not his place. I think that the Tampa St. Pete business people are holding him up doing that. Even if he gets money to build a new stadium and he keeps the team, he's still going to have to come out of pocket for $600, $700, $800 million, and then convert the bonds to cash and build a stadium. I don't see that happening. It's a difficult situation. I know that I like watching Tampa play ball because I've watched them since Joe Madden came through and won a World Series and beat up the Yankees from time to die. And now you got Kevin Cash, who was a manager here a couple of times, and these guys know baseball. But Kevin Cash is going to say, "Hey, you tell me where to play. If you play in this area, I'll put a team on the field for you, and we're going to win." I don't see Tampa staying in Tampa if this gentleman wants to buy it.
Well, and the thing is, and you just said it, if you're the current owner of this team and you're the one that's overseeing the Rays at this moment in time, you are the leader, and that being Stu Sternberg. You're not spending any more money if you're looking at selling this team, right? If you're looking at selling your house, the last thing you want to do is do anything to it if somebody's willing to buy it. So I feel like we're going to see a halt. That's the problem, though, with this franchise is like, what's the plan? And if I'm a player on the team, what's the plan? And if I'm, a facilities manager and now I'm helping out with Steinbrenner Field, what's the plan? If I'm in the front office, what's the plan? If I'm an intern, what's the plan? If I'm working in sales, what's the plan? Because if you're in a situation to sell in the team, he's not going to drop another dime into it, PJ. To your point, Sternberg's not going to put any more money into this team. So if this deal falls through, or even if this deal gets carried out, where do they play it next year? Because the problem with the Athletics is they're supposed to be going to Vegas, and maybe it's in 27, maybe it's in 28. We don't know of any stadium that is absolutely being, as far as I know, there's no actual plan that they're building a stadium. So if there is nothing set in place, the Athletics are not Oakland. They're now in Sacramento, but they're not the Sacramento Athletics. They're not the Vegas Athletics right now. I've never seen in the history of baseball or in any major sport a team be on the standings and you look at every team and it says city, name, city, name, city, name. And then it just says Athletics. You would think that it would still be Oakland Athletics because they're not in Vegas yet, but Oakland has disavowed them. So
Right.
you're not in Oakland, you're not in Vegas, and we don't really know where you're going to be or where you're going to go. I mean, we're in a place right now, PJ, where we could have two Major League Baseball franchises that don't have a everyday home, they don't have a future home, and they don't exactly know what city they're going to be in.
Well, that shows you how much money these guys make. These guys, these look at Tampa St. Pete has a very good cable network down there, and I'm sure they're making a lot of stewards making a lot of money off the cable network. Maybe that was part of the deal that this Jacksonville guy wanted. He can have any deal he wants, but if he buys the team, he's got to keep it there, and you can't tell him to do that. So I don't look anything. I don't see anything good happening with this at all, Daniel. Not at all.
Yeah, and I do want to make a note here that as of this past April, the Athletics are on track for a June groundbreaking in Las Vegas. It is June right now. It says the Athletics are moving forward the next major step in their relocation of Vegas. They cleared a significant hurdle last week when the Clark County Commission approved land use permits. That approval followed the unveiling of new stadium renderings and the announcement of Las Vegas patch on players' uniform sleeves for the next 3 seasons under a sponsorship with the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. There are some documents that still need to be completed and submitted, but as we look at this, A's president Mark Bedane said the team is on track for a June groundbreaking in the $1.75 billion, 33,000 person capacity ballpark intended to open in 2028. The club is playing the first of at least 3 seasons in AAA ballpark at West Sacramento, California. This is what Bedane had to say. Quote, locally, everybody knows this project's going to happen. Nationally, there are a lot of skeptics. There will always be a lot of skeptics. There's a lot of people that make a living out of questioning the success of sports venues and what they actually do for a community. You're never going to eradicate that negativity. It's just out there, end quote. Bedane went through a similar process when he was president of the Raiders. He was instrumental in the NFL team's move from Oakland to Las Vegas and the approval and construction of the $2 billion Allegiant Stadium, which opened in 2020. So we shall see, but they said they're looking to have groundbreaking in June. That was back in April. It is June right now, PJ. So again, I'm just looking to know, and I think the Athletics are looking to know what's going to happen. The city of Oakland has lost the Raiders not once, but twice in NFL history, and now they are losing the Athletics, and that just seems interesting. PJ, what do you want to say to the people of Oakland who have now lost 2 franchises?
Bet they wish they had Al Davis back. Again, nothing's going to come of good of this situation either, Daniel. I mean, it's going to take them 3 years to build this thing. They're already on the road. They're going to play 3 years on the road somewhere else. You can't have a baseball following the Athletics because you don't know where the hell the team is playing. I mean, I wouldn't watch the Athletics play baseball, just like I wouldn't watch Colorado play baseball or Chicago, the Chicago White Sox. It's sad, but there's a lot of money out there. People want to piss away, so let him go. If he thinks he can get a stadium built in 3 years to open in 28, then perhaps he should do it.
Well, and it's a weird catch-22, PJ, because you're trying to sell a city on a team that's one of the worst teams in baseball, or has been one of the worst teams in baseball. So you're saying, hey, here's a franchise who's recently lost over 100 of the 162 games in a season, but we're going to get them. How excited are you? So you're trying to sell a team that's not that good, but the other side of that argument, if a team is that good, they're not leaving that city. So if a team is good and things are going well and they're making money, they're not going to leave the city that they're in more often than not. And so it's this weird kind of scenario of how do you get people excited for a team that's not that good, but they wouldn't be getting a franchise if the franchise really was that good unless something was going wrong. I mean, in the case of the Raiders, they really haven't been that good, and they moved to Vegas, and they're still really not that good, but, they've gone over there. How do you sell a product that hasn't really done much, but at the same time, if they were doing a lot and they were winning, I would imagine Oakland would have wanted to keep them. So it's just a weird scenario. but they're telling us something's coming soon for the Athletics, and maybe something will be coming for the Tampa Bay Rays. For the fan base, I feel bad for the people that could drive 15 minutes or 20 minutes to go see their team, to people that worked close by these stadiums and could just go right over there, could pick up their kids from school and bring them to the game. That's the things that people don't think about, is what true fans care about these teams. And it's just unfortunate. So I don't want to see the Rays leave Tampa, because I've spent a lot of time in Florida as our second hub of the company and my second home, so I can speak more to that than I can speak to the Athletics in Oakland. I just feel bad for both cities. Hopefully, in the case of Tampa St. Pete, we're not talking about a team relocating.
No, it's a difficult situation. It is. So you have
any final word?
Another guest coming on?
Yep. Any final word from you today?
No, I do have something I wanted to talk about. It's too long-winded. I'll have to wait till next week. Oh, anyway, something else. You people out there that are baseball fans, watch the College World Series. Now it's down to two teams.
Yep.
LSU and Coastal Carolina.
That's right.
Are you kidding me? Who the hell is Coastal Carolina? And how can they beat up guys like this? By the way, a guy from Arkansas pitched a shutout the other day and struck out 19 of the 27 outs. Watch college baseball. It's just as much fun.
Yeah.
That is where we need to get players, Daniel, not in the Caribbean. I don't know. That's enough for me.
Well, it'll be, you know what? It'll be nice to see what happens here in the World Series. And by the way, the Chanticleers have crossed my table multiple times, as I have a bunch of connections to Coastal Carolina. So shout out to the Chanticleers and congratulations. And you know what? No offense to anybody else that would have made it into the World Series, but when it comes to the autonomy group and it comes to Coastal Carolina outside of that from the Sun Belt, I am going all teal in this World Series, and I want to see the Chanticleers win it. And to Coastal Carolina, if and when you win the College World Series, I will buy gear to support you. So I will absolutely. So you got it from me right now. I will put my money where my mouth is. I picked you. If you win, I will be sporting your teal Coastal Carolina. With that being said,
good luck. Good luck with that, bud.
Thank you. With that being said, PJ here with us every Thursday. Papa Joe, my best to you, MT, Joey, Diana, and the crew, and I look forward to talking with you soon. I send you my love.
Thank you, Daniel. Bye now.
Take care. A comment from Papa Joe here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We're going to take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, we will be joined by Mr. Paziak here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Stay with us inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others is really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McNerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Bryan and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Bryan and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Bryan's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Here is a special message from Brian Bruno, owner of Servomation Refreshments Incorporated.
I grew up in the family business, had the experience of working for a national food service company with thousands of employees, and as much as I enjoyed the experience I had, there's something about, owning my own company and being able to change the things I saw wrong with the industry firsthand, which is why I moved back to my hometown in Canastota, New York to launch Servomation. It was back in 2007. When we first started the business in 2007, really you didn't find any machines with credit card readers. There's a lack of variety in machines. You got stuck with basically whatever the vending company wanted to sell that day. There's a lot of inefficiencies in the business, and those were all things that we saw as opportunities, both from a customer level to improve and from an operating level to be more efficient. We've really been at the forefront of introducing retail technology into our space. We were doing self-checkout back in 2009 before it really became a national phenomenon. The whole point of it isn't to just improve the customer experience, it's to make it feel more like a retail environment where people don't have to be afraid of what they're buying behind glass. They don't have to be afraid of not being able to see the ingredients of the packages. It was an easy transaction from that standpoint. If we were to reinvent something, we wanted to make sure what we were making looked and felt more like a deli and not like something that you would traditionally see in a vending machine. I was tired of hearing for years the customers say the wheel of death because the vending machine would circle around with the same tuna salad in it. What we wanted to do was it really change the perception of that food. So allowing customers to touch it, allowing customers to feel the weight of it, allowing customers to see the freshness of it, and also the variety of it really helps them change the perception and ultimately the value of what we bring to them. The point of differentiation you have to make is either in value or the quality. And I think on both of those fronts, Servomation has really, in large part, changed that value system for employees. So they no longer have to worry about bringing their food from home or having to leave their desk during the day and rush out to get back in time for their break to end. We're bringing something that they can count on in their break room every day, and they know it's going to be there, they know it's going to be fresh, and they don't have to worry about it being sold out or something that they don't enjoy. We've also heavily invested in flavored water machine, so you can get a glass of water with a fresh piece of fruit in it, along with bean to cup coffee machine. So there's not a day that goes by we're not surprised when we get customers that call us and say, we didn't know you could do all this. We're really lucky to have a strong group of dedicated employees. Most of our employees have been with us since inception. They're family to us, and people like doing business with people they like and trust. And I think the same thing goes for employees. In a day and an age where there's a lot of corporations that just look at an employee as a number and don't get to know them, that's just not the way I was raised or how I like to do business. So we're a little old-fashioned. We like getting close to our employees. We like knowing how we can help them. We like knowing how we can improve their lives, adjust their schedules, whatever it may be to help improve their quality of life. And we think in the end that makes for a happier employee. We're fortunate enough to have really grown over the last several years, and from Pennsylvania to Massachusetts to Connecticut, we really do have a strong connection, even though we're not in the rooms every day with these employees. There's not one single employee that we feel like we don't know, and certainly we know they can call us at any time, and they're definitely treated as family to us. I wake up every single day really excited to surprise our customers in a good way. The one thing I can tell you is I think that every one of our employees and every one of our customers will continue to be at the forefront of every decision we make.
Find out how Servomation can help you and your business by going to servomation.com. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We are inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios, and it is always my honor and my privilege to have Mr. Paziak here with me, picture in picture on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So as we are here for DT and DP, of course, DT, Dan Tortora, DP, Dave Paziak, the longtime basketball head coach as well as analyst of the game. We've been talking through the NBA playoffs. We are now in the NBA Finals, Game 6. The Thunder woke the heck up, and they took a commanding win in Game 5. They're up 3-2, and we are back in Indiana tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time for tip-off. Mr. Paziak, how are we doing today?
Doing great, Dan. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. So I just want to jump right into what we saw in Game 5. I mean, is this Oklahoma City reminding people they're the best team in basketball?
Seems that way. I think, if you really want to back it up, I think the series really swung in the fourth quarter of Game 4. Indiana really had a chance to grab the series by the throat. They're up 10 late in the third, and Gilgeous-Alexander just took over down the stretch, and the Thunder managed to square the series at 2-2. And I really think that's where, that's where it kind of swung. To the point where it's an uphill struggle. And, like you said, OKC has kind of answered every challenge, which is really impressive for a young team. Denver had them on the ropes a little bit. They rallied and prevailed in that series. Indiana had them on the ropes this series. They went into Indiana, were able to square the series. And then in Game 5, and you got to qualify it a little bit because Halliburton was certainly far less than 100%. But nevertheless, the Thunder came out and really punched Indiana in the mouth to start the game. And the Pacers, doing what they've done all playoffs, just kind of found a way, hung in there, battle back. They get it to a 2-point game, middle of the fourth, and you say, maybe Indiana's going to steal another one. And like the one word that I can use, it was sudden. I call it when it went from a 2-point game, that thing went back to double figures in a New York minute. OKC really really responded well, reacted well, and forced four straight turnovers where Indiana doesn't even get a shot. So, I think they've been the best team all regular season. They've been the best team in the playoffs, and um, the fourth quarter, game four, and then much of game five, they really started to assert their dominance again.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, and it's a good point and well taken to say back it up and, let's look at what happened in game four and how they finished out, how the Thunder finished out, and the takeover from SGA and what he was able to do and what the team was able to do toward the end of that game, that Indiana could have put themselves in better positioning. You're thinking, okay, so Indiana's in a place right now where they're up 2-1. Maybe they can go up 3-1. And they just saw the Thunder respond. And that Thunder clap did not stop in game five. And, to go back to Oklahoma City, like you said, that momentum swing of the Pacers being up 2-1, and then that fourth quarter that makes it 2-2 with the Thunder's response, they go home feeling good. They go home saying, we know how to beat them. They go home saying, we have the momentum on our side right now. So I do think that that is a fantastic point, that it wasn't just game five where the Thunder kind of reasserted themselves, but essentially it was game four, because watching that game come down the stretch, you're thinking, okay, Indiana's found a way to swing back late, and now they're allowing Oklahoma City to do so. And that was a frustrating game for those that were watching on Indiana's side, thinking, okay, we're back at home. We're going to get two of these. We already stole one. We're going up 3-1, and then we're going to have 3 shots to take down the big bad wolf. And now they're back against the wall. Dave, it swings so fast. And like they said at the end of the game, I think they were talking to Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, SGA, that they asked him about it, and he said, well, 3-1 and 3-1, 2-2 are a lot different. And there was that moment for Oklahoma City where their back was going to be against the wall. Now they've swung it to Indiana's back against the wall, and Indiana's back at home today, which is great. But I love your point of Indiana not closing out that game. We saw a late surge in game 3, and in game 4, we saw them allow one, which put them on the other side of things. It was like that seesaw of where the team coming back versus where the team leaving the door open.
Yeah, I think that, if OKC ultimately goes on and wins the series, that's what I think Indiana's going to look back on and say, we had it and we let it slip away. Conversely, if the Pacers manage to win the next two, I think OKC looks back to all the way back to game 1 is where they gave the Pacers life. But Indiana is really in a tough spot right now because OKC hasn't lost back-to-back games the whole playoffs. They've been a team that has responded to adversity. I think the Pacers got a puncher's chance tonight playing at home. I think should have obviously they're going to have a great crowd. Halliburton's status is up in the air, and that certainly has a huge impact on the game. I mean, he's emerged as a bona fide star in the playoffs, and we talked at the beginning of the playoffs. That's the one little downer on this series. Like, the series has been fantastic basketball. I think if you're a fan of the game, it's really been a fun watch. Regardless of if you have a rooting interest or if you're just a fan of the game. The one thing we talked about at the beginning, though, is just hope that neither team suffers a significant injury that kind of tilts the series one way or another. And unfortunately, that's kind of happened with the Pacers and Halliburton. Hopefully he'll be able to go tonight and hopefully be effective. And just as a fan of the game, I would love to see this go 7. I think it's going to be a heavy lift for the Pacers, but I would love to see them extend it to game 7, and then whatever happens, happens. But
yeah, they got Halliburton as a game time decision. I would be shocked if we don't see him out there. I mean, this is, and this, if you can play, you will. I mean, back in the old NBA, it didn't matter. Back in the old NBA, if you had your arm cut off the day before, if you're missing a toe, you're playing. And I just remember going back to that. You think about Karl Malone and Brian Grant, when he used to elbow Brian Grant in the face for positioning, and Brian Grant say, hey, whatever's going on with his nose, he's out there. Got to wear a face guard, they're out there. Michael Jordan playing with the flu. And so, I mean, I would say, do we see it sometimes where I'm a little maybe surprised where I'm thinking, oh, this guy's definitely going to play. This is a game that matters. Like this, I mean, every game to me matters, but to those of you that say like the ones that matter are the do or die ones, in games like that, you're like, oh, these people are definitely going to play. And then maybe you don't see somebody out there. But the playoffs that I know in the NBA of old, whoever, whenever, wherever, whatever is going on with them, they're playing. And Halliburton, if he is any type of gamer, if he loves the game, if he loves ball, if he knows what it's like to be a little kid and dribble in the driveway and have a dream, he'll find his way out there somehow and do what he has to do. So I know he's a game time decision, but I mean, if he's not out there, I don't see a path for the Pacers to force a game 7. I want to see a game 7. I said Pacers in 6, which can't happen. That was my prediction going into the finals. But I would like to see a game 7. But again, to the point, Dave, that we were talking about before, they're not doing the 2-3-2 model. They're the 2-2-1-1-1. We said we like it. We both like the 2-2-1-1-1 model. What can you say to that effect of it? That the Pacers struggled in game 4 at the end, lost on the road in game 5, but because we have the 2-2-1-1-1, backs against the wall, they get to go back home.
Yeah, but before I touch on that, I want to follow up on your other point about the injury thing. Halliburton wants to play,
Yeah.
and players want to play, and I think the thing that's different today is not the player. Like there's so much money and so much investment. Sometimes it's the medical staff and the organization protecting the player from themselves, I think. So, I think there's no question if it's up to him, he's going to be out there. He was out there the last game, when it probably wasn't a great idea for him to go back out there. But, kind of getting to your point though on the format, I think 2-2-1-1-1 in a sport like basketball is a much fairer format. The 2-3-2 kind of works in baseball because of the nature of baseball and the series, and you're not running the same, you're running a different pitcher out there every day and that kind of thing. So, like, I kind of get it, and it kind of is consistent with how the season plays out in baseball because they play in series and everything. But I think in the NBA and NHL as well, I think the 2-2-1-1-1 really is, I think, the most equitable format. It gives the advantage to the better team with the better record in the home court, pretty much all the way through. Whereas, like, we talked about with 2-3-2, like if this series was 2-3-2, Indiana would have had a chance to go home, win the championship, and an OKC, best team in the league all year, doesn't even have an opportunity to get it back to their home court. Whereas when they split the first two, no matter what happens in Indiana, OKC is going to get it back home for game 5. So, I think it's a more equitable format, and I think it doesn't create scenarios where you're actually penalizing the team with the better record and home court advantage.
Well, and you just played right into my point that no matter what the sport is, a 2-3-2 model, in my opinion, benefits more the team that does not have home court advantage or home field advantage, because if they're able to steal one in the first 2 games on the road, then they're home for 3 in a row, and they can end a series at home not being the better team. So, I mean, to your point right there, Dave, that's what I was thinking when you were going through your response to it, and kind of my overall thought about the 2-3-2 is I feel like the 2-3-2 is not a good model because I feel like it's kind of built to promote the team that doesn't have the better record.
Yeah, and the kind of the rationale for it when they did it for years was that was the East Coast to West Coast, West to East travel. And by going to 2-3-2, you only had to make one trip in each direction. I think the league has done a really good job of mitigating that by building the extra day in when they travel from one site to the other. And the other thing is, in this day and age, these teams are all flying, private charter, flying on the team schedule, not an airline schedule or anything like that. So I think the biggest argument that they had for years was to accommodate, like, the east to west and the west to east travel for the teams, and as much as the teams for the media.
Yeah.
And I just think that we're at the point with transportation today where that's a non-issue, especially with the extra day built in every time they go east to west or west to east.
Yeah. And so, like you said, I mean, having the time, we saw a game on Monday. We're not seeing a game until Thursday. They spaced them out. And and we talk about professional teams flying charter and flying their own planes and this, that, and the other. I mean, we know that collegiate teams do the same thing. We know that Syracuse has their own plane and they go at their own schedule as well. So there's something to be said about having the private life where you can go as you please at your leisure. So, I mean, I think it's a better format. And with these teams having the decision of when they want to go and having the spacing in between the games, it shouldn't be an East Coast, West Coast thing anymore. Looking at something that we spoke on before in this series, Dave, and definitely last time we talked, the Pacers and the Thunder have leaned on their bench. But in Game 5, that wasn't really the case. We look at the Pacers in Game 5, they had 7 guys come off their bench. And in the 7 guys that came off the bench, 2 didn't score. And overall, looking at what the Pacers had from their bench scoring, keep in mind in a game where they lost by 11, their bench scoring ended up giving them 43 points. But on the other side of it, for the Thunder, they only played 4, which gave them 27 points. So the Pacers well outscored the Thunder. They played more guys. They outscored the Thunder's bench. But in this game, we see a different thing here. We've talked about the importance of the bench and whose bench is beating the other bench, and there's been stats up during the NBA Finals about it. But in this game, a 43-27 advantage didn't mean anything with the Thunder winning by 11.
Yeah, I mean the Pacers got a great game out of McConnell last game. Who, he's been one of the bench guys that's been a spark plug throughout you know throughout the season and throughout the playoffs. We've talked about him before, but
Yeah.
so it's a little bit, the bench scoring is a little bit misleading because they got the production out of McConnell to somewhat compensate for the lack of production out of Halliburton.
Yeah.
But I think what these two teams are doing as far as being deeper and being more balanced teams and whatnot, that's going to be the direction. I mean, it's a copycat league, so I think you're going to see the tendency to for teams to go deeper and play deeper. Caruso was kind of quiet the other night, but 2 games ago, Caruso, I mean, he had a bigger game than he had at any point during the regular season. So I think that tonight, and if it goes 7, I think both teams are going to continue to lean on their bench. I think the one thing that happened kind of out of the norm. I mean, SGA has scored pretty much every game, and he's averaging I think 32 in the finals. But Jalen Williams, his production has ramped up every game of the finals to the point where they're talking about if he has another big game tonight and SGA is kind of pedestrian, will Jalen Williams actually snatch the finals MVP away from SGA? So I think tying that back into the bench production, when you have a guy like Williams going for significantly more than his number, sometimes that'll come a little bit at the expense of like bench production or role player production in general. So I think that's what we saw a little bit of in Game 5 with his game. He was like, the Pacers didn't have an answer for him getting to the basket. Yeah. So that's one of the things they're going to have to really work on rectifying if they're going to extend this thing to Game 7.
Yeah, I mean, in a simple answer to, Indiana relying more on their bench, getting more points from their bench, why did Oklahoma City not have to? Because of guys like Jalen Williams. You brought him up, and he is a 6'5" forward for the team, 24 years old, a little bit over 200 pounds, coming from Santa Clara, the Broncos, who, if you don't know who they are, Santa Clara competes in Division I men's and women's basketball inside of the West Coast Conference, which because Gonzaga and St. Mary is coming out of the WCC. 2022 first round pick, 12th overall by Oklahoma City. So he stayed with the team that drafted him. And Jalen Williams in this last game, to your point, Dave, 40 points in 35 minutes and was 14 of 25 from the field, including 3 for 5 from three-point line and 9 for 12 from the charity stripe. He had 6 rebounds, 5 defensively, 4 assists, 1 steal, and only 1 turnover in the game. 40 points in 35 minutes. To go a little bit deeper into a guy that we haven't spoken about as much, Jalen Williams, not just in this last game, but overall this season, the focus is on SGA. The focus is on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But what can you say to Jalen Williams and who he's been to the Thunder?
Yeah. I mean, he has been, when you take Williams, SGA, and Holmgren, I mean, that's as good of a young core, as you can ever expect as a team. Williams, he's progressed every year since he's come in the league,
Yeah.
and like I just mentioned, even in these finals, you've seen him assert himself more and more each game as the series has gone deeper, and it's one of those things you keep ringing a register until somebody can stop you. The Pacers have to find an answer to counteract his ability to get to the basket because he was, and part of it goes to the way the game's officiated in the playoffs, and I think that that works to his advantage and it works to SGA's advantage a little bit, because they can be really aggressive offensively. I think that the Pacers have to find an answer for that because Williams, he's demonstrating a certain amount of basketball IQ in that he has recognized those opportunities and cashed in on them more and more every game. So, I would look for him to continue to try to be ultra aggressive and really attack the rim, attack in transition, and attack the basket in half court. Unless and until Indiana can come up with something to counteract that.
Watching Oklahoma City go to the rim at will at times, move in transition the way that they do, and get high percentage shots, are you shocked that Indiana is still in this thing? Because I guess what I'm saying, Dave, is if you're watching this game and you're watching this series, it looks like Oklahoma City can kind of do what they want around the basket in a lot of instances. So how is Indiana still in this thing?
Yeah, I mean, they're in this thing because they're a tough-minded team and they've responded well to adversity. And, people forget, like since February 1st, Oklahoma City's the best team in the league. Indiana's the third best team. It's OKC, Boston, and then the Pacers as far as, best record since February 1. So they've been playing at a high level since the last third of the regular season. So, I think they're a worthy team to be here.
Yeah.
But your point about ability to score around the basket, I think that like Holmgren and to an extent Hartenstein, they make it much more difficult at the rim for the Pacers than anybody Indiana presents makes it for the Thunder. So I think like Holmgren had a stretch in a game the other night where he was blocking or changing or impacting every opportunity the Pacers had to get to the rim.
Yeah.
Holmgren was there as a secondary defender. So I think that OKC's, I mean, the other thing that like having that rim protection, that strength around the basket does, it allows them to be ultra aggressive on the perimeter because if they get beat out off the bounce at the perimeter, there's a secondary defender right there that's going to change the shot. So I don't think Indiana hasn't shown that they can impact the Thunder at the rim in the same way that the Thunder impact them.
Yeah, and that's a point well taken. It seems like Oklahoma City. It's almost like you question sometimes why they don't take another dribble or two closer to the basket because it looks like there is really no stopping them from getting a good shot off. To go to Halliburton's side of things, and we talk about this calf, and being a game time decision tonight. In game 5, we see him 4 points in 34 minutes. He's 0 for 4 from 3-point range. He's 4 for 4 from the charity stripe. His field goals 0 for 6 overall. Only took 6 shots in the game in 34 minutes. He did have 7 rebounds. He had 6 assists. He was helping out other people. He had 3 turnovers in the game. How much of that, Dave, do you put on just the nagging calf that in 34 minutes we don't see him make a single shot unless he's at the charity stripe where he can dribble, take a breath, and relax?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know how he's feeling physically. I'm sure that, in his mind, he didn't have the same first step and same bounce that he normally would have, and that contributed to it. We had talked earlier in the series and earlier in the playoffs, like he's a pass first, create first player. So his inclination is to create for his teammates. That's really kind of his nature as a player a little bit. Make the right basketball play, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That said, when he has kind of consciously been aggressive, like at the end of games, he takes over games, or he's had games in this series and in this playoffs where he's come out right from the jump looking to be aggressive offensively. I think that when he plays with that mindset, I think it helps them across the board offensively because, the Thunder or whoever they happen to be playing in this series of Thunder, obviously, they have to respect him as a scorer and, pay more attention to him as a scorer, which in turn creates easier shots when he's creating for his teammates. His ability to do that tonight, and if it goes to a game 7, I think will be, play a really significant role in how things go. Because if he either isn't of the mindset that he can do it or he physically can't do it as far as, being really offensively aggressive, then the Thunder play him more honest, more straight up. And in turn, they, guys like Siakam and Miles Turner and, some of the other guys that really play off of Halliburton well, I think are going to have a little bit of a tougher night.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, being a create first, a pass first, we did see him give to the team. Like I said, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. He did have the 3 turnovers, but like you said, I mean, we're not in his body, so we don't know. Is it a mental thing of feeling like I can't or I don't think I can, or is it truly saying like I genuinely don't have that first step? I genuinely feel the tightness, because there's that mental side of things, right? If you feel a headache coming on and you're like, oh my gosh, I have a headache, it's probably going to be a bad headache, it's probably going to be the worst headache, then maybe you have one coming on, but now it hurts a lot more. And to anybody that's kind of played that mental game with themselves, if you think about it and you focus on it, you become what you focus on. So if you tell yourself, my calf hurts, my calf hurts, my calf hurts, and it's totally fine, you'll make your calf hurt, because your body psychologically is kind of creating that scenario. So if he does have pain in the calf, but his mind is strong, then maybe he can go in the other direction and not feel it as much and kind of just lean on the adrenaline. So we'll see. I mean, you and I have spoken so much about the best ability being availability and what happens when a team doesn't have a full go of their players. Case in point, the Boston Celtics and Jason Tatum. So as we're here in this moment, the last thing I want to see, Dave, is either one of these teams in a do or die situation for Indiana, and obviously for the Thunder an opportunity to close it out. I don't want to see anybody go down, and I don't want to see anybody hampered by anything going into this, especially Halliburton, who we know has been such an integral part of the run. That's what I want more than anything tonight, is for Game 6, us to see full go against full go. Because if this is a Halliburton that is mentally taking himself out or physically just can't seem to get that comfort, then I feel like it could get out of hand at some point.
Yeah, I mean, and we got that through like the first 4 games in this, very start of Game 5. We got both teams pretty much at full strength. And, I think the playoffs are a war of attrition as much as anything. I think that's why they're, a big part of the reason why they're here is, They came into the finals as pretty much as healthy as teams can be at this time of the year, playing this many games. Um, so I'm with you there. I'm hoping that Halliburton plays. I'm hoping he plays effectively, and just the basketball fan in me would love to see this thing go to Game 7. So, that part of it is, I'm rooting for the Pacers in that respect.
And as a head coach, I'm sure this will hit you some kind of way. In a game where the Pacers lost by 11, they had 11 more turnovers than the Thunder, 22-11. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, turning the ball over, the turnovers, and kind of what goes along with that, the rebounding. I think though, that's one of the key indicators to really, um, kind of see how the game is likely to go. In the games where OKC has prevailed, they've had a really significant advantage on the glass, and they've not only turned the Pacers over, but they've converted. Like they're points off turnovers. Because all turnovers are not created equal. The turnover where you lead the guy a little bit too far, ball goes off his fingertips out of bounds. It's a turnover, so it's damaging because you lost the opportunity to score, but it's not as damaging as the live ball turnover that leads to the run out, that leads to the dunk, that leads to the 3-on-1. And so, we talked about when Indiana got within 2 the other night and they turned it over 4 straight times. Some of those were the live ball that led to the run out and one, those kinds of things. Um, I think if Indiana does a good job of taking care of the ball and um, not providing OKC with extra easy scoring opportunities off turnovers, that certainly helps their chances. On the other side of the coin, that's been a big part of the Thunder's success is, at times they've been a historically good defensive team where they really get out and disrupt what you're doing offensively. And a lot of that is, they've got a lot of good, um, two-way, 3-and-D type players on the perimeter, and they've got the rim protection behind it, and the presence in the paint to support that. So, that's one of the things to really keep an eye on tonight, I think, is um, Indiana's ability to take care of the ball, not provide live ball scoring opportunities to the Thunder, and along with that, their ability to rebound the ball and limit OKC to one shot. I think if the Thunder or if the Pacers can do a good job in those 2 areas, then that certainly gives them a much better chance of extending this thing to Game 7.
Yeah, and in that 11-point loss, did win on the glass 50-45. Final note, Dave, if Halliburton is not 100% go, if he is hampered in this game at all, which God willing he will not be, but if that case happens, Nembhard, we know Siakam's come to play. We know what he's doing. Had almost 30 points, just too shy in the last game here. Had 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals. Did have 6 turnovers in the game, though. Has to minimize those. 28 points in 33 minutes. But when we look at Nesmith and Nembhard, Toppin, who are you looking to? If SGA has Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren, what does Halliburton have on his side if we have to lean more so on somebody else in Indiana? If Siakam is Siakam and he's doing his thing, besides him, who's a guy that you see them leaning on tonight back at home?
Well, I think if Halliburton is significantly hampered, the guy that's going to have to, and he's done it once in this series already, I think the guy that really could make up some of that void is Mathurin. I think he's one guy that can kind of get his own shot. He's really explosive and really athletic. I think the combination of him and McConnell, if they're hampered at all with Halliburton, I think they need to replace his production. Combination of McConnell and Mathurin. McConnell from just being able to control the game, handle the ball, score a little bit, find other guys, and then the explosiveness that Mathurin gives them.
And you bringing up Mathurin, and McConnell's obviously been a huge impact as well, but Mathurin completely slipped my mind, and as soon as you said it, I was like, good answer, Dave. But Mathurin, obviously, like you said, has taken over and done some good things. They're going to need the sum of their parts, even with Halliburton. I think it's going to take a lot for Indiana to sustain this thing as Oklahoma City comes in with momentum from Game 4 and now Game 5. We shall see, but I'm like you. I want to see a Game 7 back in Oklahoma City. I think it would be different if it was Indiana back at home for their last two, but if they can get this one and go to Oklahoma City, it'll be fun to see what happens with either one of these teams looking to win their first ever NBA Finals. As always, Dave, I appreciate you. Appreciate your time, and I give my best to your family today and always, and I'll look forward to talking with you no matter what happens in these next game or two games.
Yeah, hopefully we get a great one tonight and another great one in Game 7. So we'll chat again soon.
Sounds good, Dave. Have a good day.
Thanks, you too, Dan.
Thanks, Dave. That come from Dave Paziak here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We will take our final step aside of today's broadcast inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. You're watching and listening to Wake Up Call up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. We'll be back right after you hear from our fantastic partners in the community. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at greatlakeshondacity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're going to be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever going to have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground. because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks, there for you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. You can go and see them Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6, Sunday from 10 to 5. GG Cards and Breaks is your one-stop sports card and trading card shop. It's where you get to be a big kid. If you're a kid and you're like 9 years old, hey, be a kid. If you're 39 years old, go be a kid there as well. GG Cards and Breaks brings you closer to the players that you love, to the teams that you love, to the characters that you love, and the games that you love. There's something about collecting cards. To some people, it's just a piece of cardboard. To other people, it's part of our childhood. It's a memory with our grandfather. It's something that we do with our mom. It's a game that we play with our friends. GG Cards and Breaks pulls on the heartstrings in a good way. And you can go and see them today and get to witness it for yourself. 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Go where families go, to GG Cards and Breaks, Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6, and on Sundays from 10 to 5. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call, I can't believe that yesterday's show with my little sister Franny is over, let alone this one is all finished for today. Time flies when you're having a great time. And I pray to God, as always, that time is long, fun, and goes by slowly. because I want us to truly enjoy our lives and to never have it pass us by. I know sometimes we want to wish the clock forward, but I could tell you folks that as you get older, you stop wishing the clock forward and you just wish that it would slow down. And I pray and I hope that it will. God bless you all. Here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, Monday through Friday, you're with us 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. So however you're connected with us, we thank you so much for being with us here on Wake Up Call, up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe. God bless to all, and thank you for your support. Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Make sure to subscribe and follow us on these outlets. They are free, and they continue to grow as we add shows over time. So as long as you're connected, subscribed, following any one of these outlets, it'll alert you on your device that there's a new episode of Wake Up Call, and so you'll always be caught up with the show. Many thanks to Brooklyn Pickle down in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Southern Pines, 1788 Old Morganton Road in Southern Pines. Brooklyn Pickle traveling down south from New York to North Carolina, and they work with me on what's called in a New York Minute. Inspirational words for you every single week in a minute's time, coming from Brooklyn Pickle in Southern Pines. And you can go and get the fantastic sandwiches that we have loved for so many years up here in central New York by going to 1788 Old Morganton Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina, down the road from Pinehurst Golf Course. Many thanks to our team of partners in central and upstate New York. Great Lakes Honda City, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Mon Paz, the snack capital of the world, Avicoli's, Servomation, Mother's Cupboard, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Pizza Man, Brian's Landing, and we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Dolphins every Wednesday during Dolphin time. You'll be able to hang out with the Dolphins right here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Student athletes, coaches, administration, as well as future Dolphins and alumni come here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And you can find all of our content by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our Lemoyne playlist. The Dolphins are also on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to LemoyneDolphins.com. And as always, Fins Up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You will find your Bobcats every single month with student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni throughout the year joining us where sports truly meets that thing called life. Find your Bobcats by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, where we have everything in the history of our 3+ years of working with Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. You will find all of our content on the BSC Syracuse playlist on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find over 100 videos. You'll also find the Bobcats on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com and go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bearcats every Tuesday during Bearcat Time right here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. You will find the Bearcats, student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni throughout the year telling their stories here in a way that you won't find anywhere else. The Bearcats are on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our Binghamton playlist. And you'll also find the Bearcats by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage, as well as underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to binghamtonbearcats.com and go Bearcats. I want to thank my guests here inside Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com's What's Poppin', Papa Joe for the US Open and Major League Baseball talk, and Dave Paziak for talk on the NBA Finals here with the Pacers and the Thunder heading into Game 6, a hopeful series tire for the Pacers, just so I can be spoiled with the rest of you and we can get to Game 7 of 7, which will find us back in Oklahoma City. For now, on Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, X at CallDT, Instagram at wakeupcall_DT. We look forward to seeing you with us on our social media. Make sure to like and follow us there. And of course, we'll see you tonight at Avicoli's. On the pizza side, I will be with Bryce Mills and the family as we celebrate his first round knockout at Turning Stone Resort and Casino and his career in general right down the road from where he played and spent his high school days, that being at Liverpool High School. Avicoli's is on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York. We'll see you tonight, Thursday, June 19th at 6 p.m. as Bryce Mills joins me live for some pizza and some conversation on his career and a special message from him as well. So we'll see you tonight at Avicoli's. With that being said, have a beautiful and wonderful day. God bless. No stress. Do your best. Don't let anyone's opinion of you be your opinion of yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be good to yourself. And people may carry banners saying who they think you are, but always know who you truly are and trust in God. Have a beautiful day. We'll talk soon.